What's up everybody, Teancum here with Sew Yeah Quilting. In today's tutorial, I'm going to show you how you make these jar blocks. But before we get started, let's take a closer look at these blocks. Now that you've seen up close what these blocks look like, let's dive right on into the cutting instructions. As you can see in front of me, I've already gone ahead and pre-cut down my fabrics. Just to save time for the video, I'm going to just have all the numbers appear on the screen for the block. Also, do not forget, we're going to leave instructions on how to make this in the description below. It's a free download, so go ahead and download that now. So, what our very first step is to sew on our corner pieces onto our main printed block. So I'm going to move everything out of the way. I'm going to just leave my block and my little teeny squares here. Move this towards the center. And how we do this is we lay down our little black square on the corner and we sew from corner to corner or edge to edge here, and then we're going to cut off the excess, leaving us with essentially a little half square triangle. But before we get going on that, what I like to do is I like to fold my little square in half and press it down. I'm not sure how well you can see that on the camera, but I've got that little teeny line going across. What we're going to do now is sew all the way down here on that line. And we're going to repeat this step for all four corners. I'm going to move these pillows out of the way now. And what I'm going to do, instead of sew, cut, sew, cut, sew, cut, I'm going to just sew all four of mine and then cut all four of my squares. So I'm going to take this back over to the sewing machine and continue sewing. So, right here, all four blocks are sewn and we want to cut on the outer side of all of these blocks. So I'm going to just take a ruler here and a cutter, and we want to leave that 1/4 inch seam like we always do. So I'm going to cut 1/4 inch away from my seam, all four sides. It doesn't have to be perfect 1/4 inch, just somewhere close. So I'm going to move my pieces over here, and then I'm going to iron open my black squares. Okay, now that we have this ironed out, what our next step is to do is to take our two strips here of black, and we're going to sew them onto each side. Simple sewing, we're going to lay them right sides together, and in reality I'm using a solid black, so not really right and wrong to this one. And then we take it over to our sewing machine and sew our seam. Got my first one sewn. I'm going to do the same thing to the other side, and then we're going to iron everything out super flat. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to iron this open. Something that's super important and to be mindful of is, as you can see here on my print, I've got carrots, and the carrots do face one direction versus the other. It is a directional pattern. So to make sure I keep all my directions right, I'm making my print face exactly how I want it to do. Then I'm going to take our small black strip, I'll put it on the bottom, which will be the bottom of our jar. That way once I sew this on, I know that everything is going to come together at the end just fine. Again, going over my ironing board and ironing everything out. Now that we've got that ironed, you can start seeing the shape of the jar here. Now it's time to make our top with the lid. I'm going to bring in my pieces here. So I've got two squares, a rectangle of black, and a small rectangle of yellow. It's going to go together just like this. So I like to lay everything out. I'm a very visual person. So I'm going to start with my yellow, putting that right side together with the black that I have just above it. And again, all of the cutting instructions and all the measurements are in the description below with our free pattern. I'm going to take this over to the sewing machine. Again, iron everything on this one. Then we're going to attach the blocks to both sides. Got my one block, I sew on my other, and then I'll iron them both to the dark side. So over to the ironing board for one of the last times. And now it's the time to attach the lid to the jar. We're going to line it up just like so. And really you want it to hang over the top of your jar by about, quarter of an inch maybe, a little bit less. You just want to make sure it's dead center in your jar. And over to the ironing board for the final time. Now that I've ironed this out, you can see the jar. This is a super easy block to make. I've already gone ahead and made a couple more, that way you can see what it looks like in some other colors and other prints. And also something to point out here. You can tell, and let me make sure I'm centered in my frame here. You can tell that this one right here is a much smaller jar. We're gonna leave instructions too. It's the exact same method and exact same way you piece it together, but we're going to leave the sizes and the cutting instructions for these as well, just in case you want to make smaller ones. You saw the pillows, you saw our bench pillows here, and I'm going to show you how I did those. I took my smaller one, or a big one, a small one, and another big one. I put them right sides together and sewed. So how I made our bench pillow here is once I had all of our pieces sewn together, I just took a long ruler, which I have one right here, and I trimmed them up flush with the smaller piece here at the bottom. That way it was completely straight. Then I cut out some 2-inch sashing to go all the way around, and I put it back on it. I'm going to show you what that end product looks like on this one, but to give you a general idea of how that is, it's just like this. As always, if you've liked this video, hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and don't be afraid to share it with your friends. Just another reminder, our free pattern is down in the description below. Make sure you download it. My name's Teancum, teaching you how to sew like a pro. We'll see you here next week at Sew Yeah Quilting.